You know, I just wonder if all of God's judgments from the Bible and from believers and God Himself are meant to happen in this life, in this actual life, as though Christianity talks about going to heaven or going to hell, which could be a metaphor for needing there to be heaven and hell in life, in this life. And that's the best policy. But it says in the Bible, we do not yet see everything subject to Him, but one day we shall see everything subject to Him as we know Him, as He is known, or something like that. I can't remember it, but that's enough for you to look it up from what I just quoted. But it really is the best policy to treat God and judgment of good and evil in this life, to everything that happens in life, and to impose heaven and hell situations in this life. But it says we do not yet see everything subject to Him, which means that not all bad people are judged. Not all good people are judged for being good and given their proper status and reward in life. There's a lot of unfairness. But what you have to realize that there might be judgment in the next life. But what I want to say is that it doesn't matter, because this existence and an afterlife in under God is seamless. It's seamless. So there's no barrier or difference between whether judgments are fulfilled or carried out, of giving justice to people and punishments to evil people and good rewards to good people in this life or in the next life, heaven and hell. Because with God, we exist, we're beings that are alive, and Jesus conquered death on the cross, so it's seamless. So whether it's this life or there's a transition to an afterlife after you die, the afterlife after you die would be the same situation as it is in this life. But it just might be that there are judgments that God will do to cause proper justice to occur that happen in the afterlife. But you don't have to think of it as an afterlife, because it's seamless. The existence we have now and the possibility of there being an afterlife, you might as well say it's the same existence as we have now, the same world that we have now, because it's seamless, because Jesus conquered death. And so if everything is not judged, and the best policy is to get everything properly judged in this life, and to punish evil and to reward good, and to bring fairness and justice to people, even if we don't see everything subject to Him now that we should do, it still is true that if there's an afterlife where there will be the final judgment, it's not necessary to think of it as an afterlife, because it's seamless. So the fact that we die and perish is not necessarily a barrier between one existence and another existence. They're both the same existence, if there is one. And if there isn't one, it's imperative that we do God's justice and follow the Bible in this life. But if God is being greater than us, does resurrect us and bring us into a final judgment in the next life, it's seamless. It's as though there is no afterlife. It's as though it's this life carrying on for there to be judgment. But we shouldn't bank on it. We should be regarding everything justice-wise and God-wise to be relevant to this life. And what Jesus taught about heaven and hell being metaphorical for what states we should have in life, in this life. But even if everything is not judged properly as it should be, and God still would judge it, it's not something to think of as being an afterlife, because it's seamless, because Jesus broke down the barrier between death in his own body, dying on the cross. So there is no afterlife. It's as though it's this life. And we strive for there to be justice in this life, but we don't always get it. People go to court to try and win their case, and they fight for years and they don't always get justice, but they try and they aim towards it. And we might try and aim towards it, and then we might die. But it still might be that there's a carrying on of us afterwards, after we die, and it's seamless, and then there would be a final judgment. We don't know whether God will bring ultimate justice to everybody, but we have to strive for it, even if we don't get it. And to just bear in mind, in a little twinkle in the back of your mind, to think that it still might be that God will give his rewards and recompense to people, because even though we try to bring everything subject to him in this life, we don't always manage it. But if we would just rely on there being an afterlife, we wouldn't try. And if there is no afterlife, which there isn't, because if there is, it's seamless with this life. So it's as though it's still part of this life, the judgment. So whether it is or it isn't, it's still best to regard it as part of this life, and to see God's justice and ways fulfilled in this life, because the afterlife is this life. It's still this life carrying on, if it would be one. And if it wouldn't be one, then it's right for us to try and bring God's will. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven, we pray in the Lord's Prayer.